I have this crazy idea. Um, I would like to buy the rights to the blueprints, the machines, the stamps, whatever, to reproduce the Crown Victoria Panther platform. Um, the which would be from '98 to 2011. Also, the 2006 to 2011 Ford Ranger and the Grumman LLV mail truck. Um, I would like to obtain, the rights to be able to reproduce these vehicles for fleet sales and for private businesses, that kind of thing. Um, Variations of the Crown Victoria would be, the regular four-door sedan, the land yacht, which could be used for taxis, could also be brought back into the police departments and all that kind of stuff, back into law enforcement agencies. I'd like to make a version that's, basically like the El Camino. It's a two-door, imagine just a Crown Victoria, but from the back of the front door all the way back, it's a bed, so it's like an El Camino. But at the time, when I said that I'd like to reproduce these into fleet sales and for private businesses, this is where this comes in. Because you're not just making a cool looking, Crown Victoria Ranchero El Camino style truck. Um, because this could easily have a stainless steel insert put into the bed, and it could be turned into a flower truck for a funeral home. And for a long time, they used Lincoln Town Car flower trucks, and you can look them up online. They're out there. I think Cadillac has really got their claws into most of it nowadays, and newer Lincoln products do as well. But moving on, another variation of the Crown Victoria that I would like to create and, kind of play with is the station wagon version. And a lot of people are, oh, well, station wagons are outdated, whatever, but I don't think they are. A lot of people would like to have, that platform, that 4.62 valve, rear wheel drive, all that kind of stuff. Make it as a station wagon, right? Um, you'd have more room in the back, whatever. The seats can lay down, whatever you want to do. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it if we ever do. But like I was saying with the funeral home fleet sales, this is something that could easily, you just take, a vinyl top and you put on and chrome stripping, and you put on top of the station wagon, and it's a hearse. Um, and I think a lot of funeral homes would flock toward this brand of vehicle that I have in my mind, my pipe dream, um, simply because they would be cheaper, they would be more reliable, and I would try to build a reputation of reliability and all that kind of stuff. But moving on, the last version of the Crown Victoria that I would like to produce would, if you looked at it from a distance, it would look almost identical to, like the 2004 Mustang. It would be a shortened version, a two-door version of the Crown Victoria. It would come with a 4.62 valve with an aluminum cast intake manifold. Maybe a few things to beef up the motor, stuff like that, make it a little faster, whatever. But the purpose of this vehicle would to be it would be to transport things, to be a transporter. And it could also be used in fleet sales and maybe emergency situations as well. Uh, Police departments are not the only people that use Crown Victorias. Fire departments use Crown Victorias. The United States Postal Service used Crown Victorias, and I don't really know what for, but they did. I don't know if it was security or I don't know. They weren't mill cars, but and like I said, EMS, uh, emergency services, whatever, uh, ambulances, they would often have, Crown Victorias in bigger cities, whatever. But either way, that's my talking points on the Crown Victoria. And moving on, the name that I came up with, since it has its roots in the Crown Victoria and the Panther platform, I would like to call the brand Panthera. Which Pantera is taken, and Pantera really is sort of a meaningless word. I mean, it's the name of a band and an exotic car company, from the 70s and 80s. But Panthera actually is like the first part of the scientific name of a lion or tiger or whatever. And I thought maybe it's just an idea. Maybe, name some of the cars after, the scientific names of, these big cats like Panthera Leo, Tigris, Anka, whatever. But moving on. The Ford Ranger. I'd like to, get the rights to the Ford Ranger, the small Ranger, 2006 to 2011, which I've heard are the best years. Even though it's just a little Ranger, those things have always been reliable trucks. You never really hear anybody say, "Oh, well, this Ranger is the biggest piece of crap." No, you never hear that because they're actually good vehicles, like the Crown Victoria. So the variations, I would like to make an SUV version, because it's something I never seen, and it's something a lot of people wanted to see. Was like the four-door hatchback version, kind of like a little S10 Blazer, but a lot more reliable, because I have a Blazer and it's a piece of crap. So, but either way, have the two-door, four-door, extended cabs, different wheelbases, short wheelbase, long wheelbase. But I would also like to make a version of the truck, a transporter, again, with like a two-door, just a rear-wheel drive, but have that 4.62 valve with all the beefed up parts, the aluminum intake, all that stuff, and call it the transporter. But in reality, it's kind of a little muscle truck, but it would be for fleet sales. So moving on, the Grumman Mail Truck, the LLV. So I would like to have the rights to that and reproduce it, but I would not. See, the Grumman mail trucks were actually made on S10 frames, which, some S10s were really good, but from my experience, I'm not a fan of S10s or Blazers or any of that. Just, I've had them, and they're some of the biggest pieces of junk I've ever seen. So, but like I said, moving on, I'd like to put them on a Ranger frame instead of the S10 frame. I think it would work. I mean, I could make it work, I think. And reproduce them as mail trucks again. And maybe also like a miniature, like small paddy wagon for the police departments. And also as a work van. I do believe these things are very spacious. They're very simple, and that's basically my idea. I'll try to keep this video short as I could. But I made a little template, a little picture of a couple little Crown Vics that I drew up, and the name and the logo and all that stuff. And I wanted to, put this on Scotty Kilmer stuff just to, I'd like to bring some attention to this idea, because the thing is these electric cars and all the, the government and all this stuff, they want to move to electric stuff. And the thing is electric cars have not been around very long, and, they're going to have issues, and eventually we're back to, older Toms and, where we just operate on combustion engines and whatever. So that's my video, and I appreciate you watching it, and like and subscribe. Thank you.